Danny Segura for MMAJunkie.com. I'm joined today by Pedro Munhoz, who will be taking on Frankie Edgar in a fight that's being targeted for this summer, a very big bantamweight bout. Pedro will be welcoming Frankie Edgar to the bantamweight division, so exciting stuff right there. Pedro, how's it going? How are you doing in Florida? I see you've been riding the boat recently, and you've been living the life, man.
Yes, man, it's great. Even though this pandemic time right now that we're all going through the same stuff, I tried just to connect more with the nature and with family, and then so that's what I have been doing. So I got a boat a couple weeks ago, and I have been cruising like intercoastal here in Florida almost every day.
Was that a pandemic purchase? Like, I gotta get a house. I gotta be out there.
Yeah, it was definitely
Nice.
everybody at home. We were here already for the last 2 months. For me, it didn't change a lot because I get to go out and do my training in the morning and night. So, but for my daughter, my wife, things like that. So, I think it was something that it was really good for all of us.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about this fight, man. It's a pretty big fight. I know you were angling for a big name. You were pretty much calling out everybody, Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, a few other names, but Frankie Edgar. Did this fight almost come to a surprise to you?
No, it was actually I like you said, I was calling out everybody. I said, hey, who wants to fight, right? So I call out Jose Aldo after the fight against Marlon. I called Peter Yan because I heard some interviews that nobody wanted to fight him. I said, "What? I fight him, no problem." Was getting fights, guys, even behind me in the rankings, and none of the fights went through. And then I throw names there, Raya and Frankie, and just lately we heard that the possibility to fight against Frankie Edgar. So I got very excited about it. So I can't wait, man.
Yeah, and this is a big fight. I mean, do you almost like this fight better, this booking, than the Aldo one? Because I know you really wanted that one. But Frankie, you can say he's just as big of a name as Aldo.
Without a doubt, I wanted Aldo because they were going to have a UFC in May in Brazil. I didn't know the main event was supposed to be Jose Aldo and Cejudo, so I didn't know that. So I did that. I called him out before that. So I thought it was just like a great match in Brazil. Against two Brazilians fighting Brazil, two big names, two top. He was number nine, I guess. He was number nine. I was number six. So now he took it. He took a position ahead of me. But back then, when I called him out, I was number six. It was number nine. So I thought it was like a nice fight to in Brazil. Two Brazilian guys, and the style was kind of like good. Two both aggressive fighters. None of us go there to we go there and we take care of business. We go forward. We go for the knockouts. And that was the same goal that was the same like fight style that I was going to have that fight, and I thought it would be very interesting, for all the fans all over the world, and especially the Brazilians.
Yeah, for sure. And what are you expecting from Frankie? Because this is an interesting bout in the sense of Frankie used to fight. I mean, he was a former lightweight champion, and now he's fighting basically 20 pounds below that, right? For recently he was fighting at 145, but still nonetheless a guy that used to be a 55er. What are you expecting from him at 135? Do you think he'll be sort of the same fighter we're used to seeing in the other weight classes?
Yeah, I think he's gonna be even better. I think actually found his division. I think the weight cut is gonna be easy. He's extremely professional. We all know, and I believe like his skills gonna be even sharper. He's gonna be able to fight a guy that his size, and that's gonna be just interesting matchup. And that's the kind of fight that I like to do. I like to challenge myself. I like to fight at the best. That's why I didn't even think twice when I got the chance to fighting Cody Garbrandt. Even though I know a lot of people was talking about his knockout power. He just displayed last Saturday against a tough opponent, Rafael Assunção. So I knew the risk that I was going to have. But for me, life it's all about taking risks and succeed. So and that's this fight. It's nothing's gonna change. It's gonna be the same goal, and my strategy is gonna be the same one as my fight number one. You know, And even though against Aljamain Sterling, people was like saying about his length, about his
Mhm.
grappling game and things like that, and the fight was just pressing him the whole fight going forward. So I wanted to fight. So and that's what I had to do. And this match against Frankie, man, it's just got me super excited.
Yeah, and you were just talking there about like some of the other bigger fights. Obviously, Sterling had an amazing performance at 250, and also Garbrandt as well. But would you say Frankie perhaps is sort of the biggest opponent, at least in like name value, that you fought in your career?
Yeah, let's say yes. He's gonna be one of the biggest names. Cody Garbrandt was a big one. Aljamain Sterling, all these young prospect, upcoming. But now I'm fighting a legend, a OG, let's say like that.
Mhm.
I fought before a guy that was a veteran like that. A lot of fights ahead of me. It was an RFA back in those days, Jeff Kern. But fighting Franklin is definitely something's gonna be a accomplishment.
Yeah. So obviously this is his debut, so he doesn't really have a ranking yet on his name, but he's still obviously a big name, being a former world champion and all that. You beat him. What do you think that does to your career, and where does it put you in the division?
It's definitely. I think I know I belong as a top five, and I think I'm number seven right now. We know that the ranking systems sometimes it's harder to understand, but like I said, I'm here to fight the best fighters. I don't care about what number are you. I got an offer to fight two guys that was behind me in the rankings, and I accepted fights. The fights didn't go through because they didn't want to fight me, even though I was ahead of them in the rankings. My goal is just go there and try to perform try to perform um, the way that I like to do always. Give like exciting fights, and that's kind of my style. So it's when we're talking about challenge, this is something that I like to challenge myself and everything. That's the whole reason that I got a boat. That was my first bowl. It was kind of like a big bowl for first one, but I say, why? It's hard, it's difficult, it's gonna give me the butterfly, but I'm not gonna lose to the ocean. I'm not gonna lose for the fear. So I'm gonna overcome, and that's exactly what I do in every single fight, every single training camp.
Yeah, for sure. And that bantamweight division, man, it's so exciting right now. With It almost seems like Henry Cejudo's absence has a sort of, I don't know, gave it the division almost a second life. So I want to get some thoughts on the things that are happening at bantamweight. You were just talking about Cody Garbrandt's performance, a guy that you put away, not so long ago, and he had a pretty nice comeback win, defeating Rafael Sunsao. You watched the fight. What'd you think of his knockout and sort of his comeback and his introduction back to the win column?
Wow, it was really good, man. So I was rooting for Rafael Assunção, teammate. We actually fought my first fight in UFC. It was a short notice. I got the fight 6 years ago. So a lot of people has been asking me, "Oh, have you thought about the rematch?" And to be honest, and that's something that I'm not looking forward to. They have a lot of other fighters there, so I can fight against. And man, I was impressed. I was impressed by Cody Garbrandt performance coming back this last Saturday. It was definitely, he looks very sharp. His skills, his speed was on point, timing, and even though he's confident that I thought he was gonna be a little bit shy, to throw punches and exchange, and he was there kicking like inside, a short distance in exchange with Rafael. I fought Rafael. I know how strong, how good he is, and a guy coming back after I think our last fight was a little over a year ago, and come back and put a performance like that. I was definitely happy for his career. Not happy for the result, but I was happy for his career. I think it's a good accomplishment. You coming back after like three knockouts lost,
Yeah.
and putting like and knock him out, Rafael Assunção. It was definitely very
Yeah, for
impressive.
sure. Yeah, and Sterling as well, a guy that you fought, you went the distance with him in a very fun fight. Obviously, it didn't go to your way, but nonetheless, it was a very entertaining fight. He took almost no time to put away Corey Sandhagen. Were you surprised by how the fight went down? Because it seemed like a lot of people going into it thought it was going to be competitive and back and forth and maybe go the distance.
I thought so too. There was definitely. Um, I think it was just like the little mistake that sometimes that happen in this level of the sport, and especially our division, that with bantamweights, we're known as all-rounded. You know, every single skills, striking, wrestling, grappling, and all that. So someone, if you give your back, if you give your back like that to someone that wants how to grab very well, then they has like a good jiu-jitsu skills, like Aljamain Sterling, for all the people that he trains, you know, in New York. So it's a very dangerous situation that you put in yourself in. At the beginning of the fight, both fighters dry, a lot of strength, and the guy go not even take your back and put it the figure four. Jermaine's a smart guy, so I kind of like knew that was going to happen. He was going to press and going for the takedown and take his back because I was supposed to fight Sadie Hagen, so I was watching some of his previous fights, and he gets that position a lot. He gets a position a lot that he kind of give his back to attack the Kimura right there. So and then I say, oh, and that's gonna be a key for Aljamain Sterling's victory right there, because he couldn't do that with me in the fight. We're talking about um, a great fighter like Aljamain with that length, with that jiu-jitsu skills, and it was great. It was super. It was it was nice, man. I was happy, for the fact that he was the last guy that beat me. So I was kind of like rooting for him because it doesn't look our victory that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, my defeat that bad.
Right, right, of course. Are you almost like you see that performance, you see how quickly he took the fight to the ground. You're like, "Hey, why didn't you take me to the ground?" Cuz I mean, he mostly kind of engaged in the striking with you.
Yeah, no, he was smart because he knew like if he would shoot, no, the guillotine is gonna be right there. I had a two submission attempt, even stand up. He was not like right there in the pocket.
Mhm.
Give the props to him. He used his a strategy to beat me. Because he knew if he would come exchange in the pocket, it would be a bad decision for him. So he used the length advantage that he has, and he fights an outside. So throwing kicks and try to avoid the fight, even the grappling too. And a couple of times I think he was trying to take me down. So I was defending the takedown and two of them, and I attacked the guillotine. So it was a back and forth. It was a really good fight. So going back to your question, I was happy also for him,
Mhm.
because more than anybody in our division, he's definitely a top contender right there. He's the one that should be fighting for title next.
Yeah, no doubt. And you just mentioned it there. Something I also want to ask you about is that title fight that's happening at UFC 251. Jose Aldo taking on Peter Yan. Seemed it received a lot of criticism for the fans, saying maybe that probably wasn't the move. Maybe Yan should have fought Aljamain Sterling. Curious to know what your thoughts are, and if you agree with that assessment, and just your overall thoughts on Aldo getting the title shot.
Yeah, no, I'm not agree with that at all. But like I said, this is just my point of view. That's just what I think. We're free to speak whatever we think. I don't think that was the right decision, but like I said, we know this is a lot of more things involved, not just my point of view and the media and a bunch of other stuff. Uh, if we're going regardless to the ranking position and the victories itself, it would definitely will be Aljamain and Peter Yan for the title. But somehow Aldo got the opportunity again, so I guess they have some type of special love for him.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as the fight itself, like who do you think was gonna walk away with that vacant belt? You think Aldo pulls it off, or you think Jan might get the victory there?
And that fight is definitely could go either way.
Hmm.
They're both strong. They're both got the knockout power. They both has good wrestling grappling skills. It's not like you don't see a hole in Jose Aldo game and I don't see a hole in Peter Yan's game. When we're talking about a top level athletes, we're all in top 10, I believe. I think every single fighter is like that. Oh, I'm
Hmm.
gonna take that guy down because he does. I think we were all rounded in every single area, and anything can happen. I just see Peter Yan younger, a little bit more, less injury, and less damage. Brain wise, chin. Haven't putting himself. He doesn't have that much fight like Aldo.
Hmm.
strong guy, young. Aldo, he's kind of like I think he's kind of got it like in the stat stay, kind of like not saying anything bad about him. Yeah, for me, he's a legend. I love watching his fights. I love his style. I cop a lot of my style by watching him, and that's the reason that I want to fight him. Nothing, um, nothing. We don't have any problem.
Hmm.
I know we have a lot of friends in common, but it's just about the sport and he's just a legend. And I do believe that too. He has the possibility to come back with the title. So I don't see. I'm 50-50 for the fight. I think both has a great opportunities to become the new bantamweight champion.
Yeah, certainly two great fighters. So we'll see how that one unfolds. And overall, I mean, that fight's happening really because Cejudo left the division, right? Do you think he comes back? Where do you how do you see that playing out?
I don't know, man. I don't think he's coming back. I think he made a decision. I think it's you able to retire with two belts, flyweight and bantamweight, and it was definitely a big accomplishment. Besides him being an Olympic champion, if I, it's each his own, but I think he made the right decision, to retire uh, with two titles, you know, champion two divisions, and plus all the titles and being Olympic champion, things like that. So I guess, man, I would love to fight, like I said, anyone, but I think he made the right decision, and now is our time to bank and see who's gonna fight for title next.
Yeah, for sure. Is it almost a relief that he's gone a little bit because it seemed that he was more interested in taking on the bigger names than the next contender in line? So that's obviously good news for the guys that are putting in the work and building up in the rankings, right?
Without a doubt, yeah, I would be mad if I would win my last fight, and because I would be the one like Aljamain right now,
Hmm.
going fight for the title, one more fight or not, title or not. So I think for those guys, it's kind of like unfair, and that situation that he wants to get the bigger names. But I think right now, for the fact that he retired and things like that, he kind of opened up. Even though that I think was some of the stuff was unfair, regardless to the title fight, I still believe that this not even say the decent the right fight to do was Peter Nugent. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Now, lastly, sort of give us the path here. What's going to happen? Let's say you get that win over Frankie Edgar. What happens next, and how long do you think it'll take you to challenge for a belt here in this division?
All right, so yeah, my next focus right now is definitely perform like 100%. Going there against Frankie Edgar, and my goal is remain the same. Is always try to look for the finish, knockout, submissions. I love fight big names. I love to put myself like in situations like that. I love the challenge, and after the fight, after beating him, I would be ready to fight anyone like I always did. And this vision right now is just fire. We see a lot of good fighters. We see a lot of great athletes out there, all mixed it up, and it's exciting, man. It's exciting to see what's the next step it's gonna take us.
Yeah. Now, I actually lied. This is the last question, I swear. Just
No
notice
problem,
Frankie
man.
Edgar
Take our
has
time.
never been submitted in his career. And you're a guy that obviously loves the submission and is known for, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu and the grappling aspect, probably considered one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous guy regarding submissions, in that division. Have you thought about that, thinking that, you go in there and submit Frankie Edgar, maybe you can, make some history here?
Definitely, I thought about it. Actually, I think about that every day. I think about that every day. Frankie is just a tough opponent. He's really good. Uh, Being a black belt under like Renzo Gracie, I guess,
Mhm.
and it's definitely going there and be able to submit a guy that never been submitted in his career before is definitely a big accomplishment. And yeah, it's gonna put in my name right there and the part of the history.
Yeah. And Edgar has obviously been super experienced, has fought, everybody, gotten so many looks. But do you see something there that you could offer on the ground that some threats that he hasn't been able to experience throughout his career?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I do believe that my jiu-jitsu, we have a lot of good names out there. We have Charles Oliveira, we have Rodolfo Vieira, we have myself, Demian Maia. But if we see at the end of the day, we all came from the same school. I know all those guys, like teenagers. Rodolfo Vieira, he used to stay in our gym when he used to come to our hometown. We used to go to Rio, we used to stay at his gym. Charles Oliveira, we used to train under the same gym. Damian Maya, he used to come do MMA in our gym. Was able to train with him too, and yeah, we're the dangerous guys right there in UFC. We're talking about grappling. We all rounded fighters. We fighting standing. We wrestle, but jiu-jitsu is kind of like the base. That's something that we grew up doing. So it's very it's our skills compared to the rest is sharper.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, I appreciate the time. I don't want to see any more time away from you. I can't wait for that Frankie Edgar fight. Very fun fight. Also, very big fight for the bantamweight ranking. So we're looking forward to that. Again, I appreciate the time, man, and best of luck against Edgar.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you, guys.